I'm going to tell you 10 tips and tricks I wish I knew before I started playing Throne and Liberty. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Danny. I live in an off-road camper van with my family and create gaming and van life content on the road. If you're a returning viewer, thank you. You're awesome. Let's get into this. So number one, invest into your rares before you upgrade them to epics. You'll want to do this with your greens to your blues as well if you can. But basically leveling up your gear is an absolute grind in Throne and Liberty. So try and get your rare items to level 9 before you transfer them into epics. And if you really want to min-max, it is also much cheaper if you get your epics to around level 4 or 5 before you transfer your rares into epics. You have this thing called growth stones. As you level up from 1 to 9, for example, on your piece of gear, the higher the level, the more growth stones it's going to take. So number 2, the settings in this game are huge. There's so many. I'm going to list a couple here. If you've got any more suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. But first thing we're going to do is optimize for kind of large scale PvP with some basic settings. Now most of us will probably be going with medium or low in the super large scale PvP. If you can run higher epic, it just looks mega, and I recommend you do so. But for most of us, let's turn off this motion blur, and you can turn off hair strands. This is on by default, and then you also want to click the optimize for large scale combat button. Next on the setting list is character. So head to gameplay, character, and then show character names. This is something that I can't really give you the perfect version here, but this essentially changes what you see on the different players. So if you're in combat with 200 people, you might just want to shove on simplify, or you might just want to see hostile characters, or you might want to see only friendly character. It's up to you. Most of the time you want to see the hostile characters and show them, you see their names so you can call out targets and focus targets. And with allies, you don't particularly need to see ally names, but maybe you want to. But this will allow a better vision when playing large scale PvP, and also help a little bit with performance. The last bit, which we'll talk about in this particular video, is the target selection. This needs a little bit of time to get used to, but what I've gone for is prioritize mouse cursor target. This is off by default. What it does is when attacking in classic mode, automatically selects the target the mouse cursor is pointing to if there is no selected target. Now most of the time what you'll need to do is run up to a player. Imagine there's 100 people within this area here. It's a bit crazy. You need to click that target to be able to then use an auto attack or a particular skill. What this should do is if you haven't got it selected and your mouse is nearby, it should allow you to still use that ability. Obviously this is a poor little dock worker, and we can't kill him. Number 3, traits. Now this is probably going to be one of the more important pieces of information you need to know. Traits are extremely important within Throne and Liberty. Do not overlook them. I'm going to give you a quick example here. What you need to do is level up your gear and get them as many traits as possible that suit your particular build. Now, I'm on the Hyperboost server. I was playing around with endurance, ranged and melee endurance. So a quick tip on this one. If you're looking to gear up your Grand General's Commander Visor, as an example, or any particular piece of gear, to get started, you need the same piece of gear to unlock that trait. So for example, if I want the melee evasion trait on here, I need a Grand General's Commander Visor with melee evasion to merge them together to unlock that trait line. There are other ways, by coming in here now, heading onto your second trait line and unlocking the trait. You need trait unlock stones, which you can get from lithographs and quests and other places within the game. You can then select the trait that you want and then unlock that trait. Once you have a trait on that line, you don't necessarily need the same piece of armor anymore. So let's go to a slightly more simple piece of gear here. Let's say that we have a pair of legs here. We only need epic tier 2 legs, or gear within that same category with the same piece of gear. So as you can see here, this is a different set of legs, but I can use the ranged evasion on these legs. So if this costs, for example, 100 lucent in game and this only costs 10, you only need to buy one of these to unlock that initial trait line, and then you can buy 3 of these to merge them into it. So as you can see here, we got elite resistance pants. You wouldn't normally do this. Maybe you would. You can then enchant this. We've got ranged evasion 1 out of 4. Let's enchant that. It's not the same pants, it's a different set of pants. We've now merged that ranged evasion trait into our Holy Ghost Fighters Conviction Gators. So the first trait has to be exactly the same piece of gear. The next set of traits can be within that same category. So as long as it's a pair of legs, you can put it within that piece of gear. Number 4 is daily contracts and dungeons. Now these are extremely important for your character's growth. What you want to do is head to your contract manager. You can get these in different parts of the map. Different contracts reward different things. Over time you'll start to figure these out, but for example, Pure Light Tower, there's some pretty like higher end contracts there. So save your contracts. Instead of doing them in Castleton where you're going to get sent to lower tier areas, go to Pure Light Tower once you reach there and do your contracts there. Once you've gone to your contract manager and you've got your rewards, you want to make your way down to, for example, we'll head here and you can spend these tokens. Once you've done a bunch of contracts, head to one of the main towns or wherever a contract coin merchant is, and you'll see in here there are daily limits. So 3 a day, 2 a day, 2 a day, 50 a day, 50 a week, excuse me. For example, here you can see the rune hammers. These will become important for you. Blessing pouches, a bit of RNG. These are things you want to collect daily. Obviously, the more the rarer the better, and obviously the more contracts you do, the better as well. If you can get yourself in a guild, when you do things like donate to the guild, you get these things up here called guild coins. You'll see that going up there. Once you get guild coins, you can also go to a guild merchant. He or she also has daily limit things, so health pots, mana pots. When you start to fight world bosses, you might want to get yourself one of these venom neutralizers, but these also have daily bits in them, which you should ideally be doing daily. Something I actually wish most of you don't do, so I can take advantage of this, but it's sell early. Lots of items that you collect early on are going to be, especially your rubrics, your crystals, whatever you can sell on the auction house, sell it early on and do not worry about gearing up too much. I actually have nothing I can sell. It looks like I've maybe sold it all. But sell early, because what you'll find is the prices dramatically drop relatively quickly. So if you get yourself, for example, a bunch of precious rubrics, get them on the market, because early on, you can see here, some of them are going for 50, 60, 100, and now they're only going for 13. So sell early, collect that lucent, and then spend it later on. Or if you're on my server, don't, and let me do that. You may have seen me or other players running around as chickens, or what was that? Bears, or flying as eagles and God knows what. This is their morph system. This is their take on mounts. One thing that is important is that the more mounts, or excuse me, the more morphs you collect, the more of a bonus you get. So you can see here, morphs add growth points and increase your growth level. The more you grow, the more effects you get. You can see here, if I bring up these effect levels, you can see the more you have, the more effects you get. So make sure you're collecting and getting as many of the morphs as you can, because it will give you a little bit of a bonus. Now, this isn't massively important, but as you can see, if you get a bit of an acceleration rate, maybe you get a bit of movement speed, these things can be a little bit of a make or break, especially in PvP. This little guy normally next to me, which is currently running off into the distance, doesn't want to know me, is called an Amatoy. Now, there are many Amatoys you can get, and I can't rate them, to be honest. They're like mini teddies rather than I don't know, anime Pokemon, or I like Pokemon, but you know what I mean. They're not anime. little teddies. They're very cute. These are kind of important. Aside from the fact that they pick up items for you and bug out and run across the map, they have introduced something recently called the Amatoy Expedition, and what they do is essentially go out and collect loot for you. I am definitely nervous that they're going to monetize this, but at the moment what you do is you come into your Amatoy house. You can do it through this little icon down here, and then what you need to do is select some of your Amatoys to go on expeditions. Now, I currently have an expedition in progress, but if I have more, which you can get these through questing and the shop and so on and so forth, I can send these guys on their own little expedition. So you can see Moonlight Desert is going to give me a chance of gold, Magifred, salt, and potentially an expedition pouch. I don't think I can do this yet. I'm not high enough level. Black Hell Plains is an example. It's going to give me wood, leather, rotine, again a pouch, and these can be used to level up your guild or level up your character. Salt, for example, is used quite a lot in cooking, so you can essentially send these out on an expedition. Obviously, I don't know how many we can get at the end game. I think it might still be 5, but this is important. Just try your best to always get these Amatoys out on an expedition as much as you possibly can, because the higher the level, the more rewards they can get. Number 8, events and contracts. These are extremely important, and that's down to your personal ones, as we discussed earlier, but also guild contracts. So if and when you're part of a guild, press G, head to the guild contract. The more of these you can focus on doing. I'm currently getting my butt kicked in game. I spawned. It's turned nighttime. I was on the island. I'm now dead. Love it. I'm going to leave that in the video. Great. Where are we gone now? We're back at Stoneguard crying. Yeah, so if you press G, head to guild contract. The more of these you do, the quicker your guild levels up. The quicker your guild levels up, the more of these benefits you have access to. So at the moment, we are guild level 11. It's because we just changed server recently, but we're on a server with guilds that are already level 30. So as you can see here, there's multiple things that you get. One is access to the guild shops, guild mails, but the main thing is guild bosses, and guild buffs and guild skills. So the more you level up, the more bosses you get access to, you can see here, but you also get all these extra skills as well. And in the early days, that's how you can get a chance to attack a boonstone, attack a riftstone. But these are the skills you also get access to. At the moment, they're in Korean. Normally, these were in English, actually. So like Summon Gate, I can pop here a Summon Gate, and it brings all of your guild members to you. Range DPS, mana support, boss damage, boss defense, some really important stuff. So the more of you guys in the guild work towards this, the quicker your guild levels up and the quicker you will benefit from that. Number 9 is mainly for you guys interested in PvP, but this also kind of applies for PvE too. Get as much hit and evasion as you can. Now, hit is essentially the attack from your character. There are more than just hit, but hit is the basic attack, and evasion allows you to evade attacks. Now, there is a bit of a formula for this, but essentially the way it works is if I only have 100 hit and you have, for example, 500 evasion, I'm going to have a harder chance to hit you. Now, I really, really dislike this system, but it's here and I don't think it's planning to go away. So I'll pop the calculation on screen. I didn't come up with this. I found it on a few websites. But essentially, if you have equal or less evasion than the enemy hit, you will have a 0% evasion chance. If you have 500 more evasion than the enemy hit, so you have 100 hit, I have 500 evasion, I will have a 33% chance to evade all of your attacks on me. If I have 1,100 evasion and you only have 100 hit, I will have a 50% chance to dodge every single attack you throw at me, which is crazy. So the more hit you have, the more the enemy has to have evasion, and obviously the more evasion you have, if the enemy has less hit, you have a good chance of just completely evading those attacks. Like I said, I don't particularly like this system, but it's here and I think it's going to stay. There is a lot more depth to this, which we won't go into today, but in essence, try and have a lot of hit, try and have a lot of evasion, and then start to explore the rest, you know, like heavy attacks and so on and so forth. Okay, so the last one's a little bit of a cop-out. it's watch the cutscenes. This isn't a trick, this isn't a tip, but genuinely as someone who often skips the stories and the cutscenes, I've had a chance to sit and watch most of them on the KR version because there hasn't been a mega rush. And the effort that has gone into the cutscenes and the story and the quests, I genuinely think it's just brilliant. I think it's really well made. And outside of the large scale PvP, this is just a really nice, I don't know, it's an entertaining game. It's just good. So yeah, definitely watch the cutscenes if you're not rushing to 50. Careful, Danneh. Shh. Oh! Was that a megalodon? No. Some evil spirits. Hit him with the shield block. Time to run. Oh, oh my gosh. No way! There's no way. And that's it. That's my 10 tips before you start jumping into Throne of Liberty. I'm sure you guys have got some great ones too. If you've got something you want to share, please leave it in the comments below. I will be hopefully streaming every single day on launch. Obviously, we're in the van. We're traveling a bit as well. But we'll see how we get on. If you want to come and hang out, my Twitch link's below. My missus is laughing at me. What are you laughing at? What do you mean nothing? You can't look at me like that and laugh at me. as well, she's laughing at me. There you go. If I'm not traveling, I'm going to be getting abused from this one. So I hope you enjoyed the video. See you on launch.